Now, what to do when you're on the ground, when you have a headlock. The position I want is, I want to control the arm here. I don't want to hold like the armpit here. I'm really not trying to like hold on to them or lock my arms or hands here. My preference is to get as deep as I can, almost under his armpit from behind. And I'm going to crank down this way, torquing. Notice I lock this to my body. Okay. Now, I'm going to have two different ways with my hips here. First one, we're going to talk about hip up. Okay, my hips are pointed up, or my abdomen is pointed up. And my preference is this when I have the head, okay? I want to get my hand, or my forearm, not right at his neck, because look, at his neck here, he can like bridge up, Colby. I get my forearm here. And then what I do is I keep my elbow on the floor, and I just do a little lift here, like this, okay? This way I crank his head up. His head is strongest when his spine stays aligned and he can just bridge up to resist here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to lift up and I'm going to tend to crank it a little bit off to the side. It's off its axis here. He doesn't have a lot of power in this situation. And this really doesn't take a whole lot of strength or energy. It's a heck of a lot better than this when I kind of lift up like this, because if I lift up like this, I may lose the position, probably will. Whereas this way, I crank on the arm, preferably no thumbs here, not like this. Just position here to here. Notice my hips. I want to keep them up as high as possible. I don't want my hips to his hips, else I'll get rolled. Or he'll hook and come around. So I want to keep my hips high, very high. Okay, I crank on this arm and I lift up on the head here. I can control him pretty good this way. Now, alternatively, and this is actually what I prefer to do when I'm actually in this position, is from here I prefer, and by the way, when I'm here, when you're actually cranking on it, try to stay off your butt here so that your weight is on your opponent. Now, by saying that, I don't mean to push like this, so I'm going to get rolled. I torque, and if I pulling this almost out of its socket, I'm jamming my body in deep into his armpit this way. Here, and I'm bringing my hip under, and you could maybe slide a piece of paper under here now, so I'm not putting my weight down on my butt here. Okay, now from here, a lot of times I prefer this position here. Hip down, I'm cranking up. Notice where my chest is. My chest isn't on his tummy. Neither was my back before. It was up high towards his head and his face and his neck area, upper part of his chest. Notice too, I'm almost on his head here, okay? I'm off of my hips. Point of contact is my 2 feet and his body. And I'm going to lift up like this. I have good control in this position. Good enough control that he cannot reach. There's no way he can reach the leg like he can here when I'm out in this position here. And it's not a big deal, or no great shakes, to be able to get your knee in the belly here, okay? Or to be able to mount. You have tremendous leverage and power in this position here. You're really in good shape. Now, I don't want to be up here. What happens if my hips are, I get rolled? It's this part of my body over this part of his body from here. In this position as well, I want you to notice generally, I would prefer to keep coming in this direction. If we're going to be fighting in here, I keep coming in this direction. It would be very atypical and unlikely that I'd be wanting to go back in this direction. So my movement is constantly in this direction here. Constantly going to be in this direction. And notice I crank his head up. It's up. Turn this way. It's up and to the side. How do I do that? Once more. Up to the side. He can't bridge, Colby. Very difficult for him to bridge in this situation. I make it even harder now by wedging my body in his armpit. So I'm lifting up, cranking to the side, wedging my body in his armpit. I've got really good position here. Okay? Now, as I mentioned before, it's not that difficult of a thing as I'm driving over here, either be able to get my knee in the belly or to be able to get mount. It's not a difficult position when you're controlling his upper body in such a powerful way, and you've got no worries about this arm. And turn into me, Colby. It's very difficult for him to turn into me. If he could turn into me here a little bit. If I'm trying to come out, he might be able to block me from coming over. But from here, turn in. He can't get sort of like a side type position on his side here. So it's not hard for me to be able to come over. And in fact, a lot of times, if I'm cranking people in this way, at one point, I'm just going to hop over. As I hop over, all of my weight stays here up top. Upper chest, neck, and face area. Now, so one thing you can do, knee in the belly from there, or mount. Again, you can do that however you have been trained to do that, but my point is you have a very secure platform to be able to attack those type of moves and get into that type of position. Now, there's a couple other things I can do from the headlock position. From here, when I'm high, up here, a lot of times people are fighting here with their arms and all. If I can, sometimes I get my elbow here and come down. You have a good finish from here. Pushing down here, the fulcrum is at the back of the elbow, lift my hips. And I'm kind of, this comes down, this is going up as my hips come up. This happens sometimes because as I'm fighting here, he's moving it around and I catch it. I adjust my position so that I've got the pressure on the back of his elbow here. Hips up. This one pushes up, this one pushes down as my hips come off the mat. I can manipulate that if I can, or if he's not going to be grabbing, I just try to get to here. So I get my elbow on this side. Now, even if he's flailing out, I can get to here. Okay. To this position here. So I can kind of manipulate it from here. That's where the battle is right now for me, is to get my elbow. Like I missed it there. I didn't get it. Oh, I got the elbow on the inside. I've got pretty good leverage here, kind of like a paintbrush situation. I'm not going to finish him, of course, here, but my point is I have pretty good leverage, especially if I'm cranking up here. He doesn't have a lot of power in this arm. So from here, all I got to do is come down. Okay, if I can help myself here. Okay, hook. This comes down. This comes up. Hips up. And I want to make sure that the fulcrum is right at the back of the elbow. Another possibility is, as we're fighting in here, if I say difference, here I come in, and now this time he thinks, oh, I'm not going to get cranked in there again because this angle is bad. He turns the angle in, no problem. I put my back of my thigh or my hamstring down here, and what I'll do is I'll try to come up this way on him. Okay, I'm just going to pick up this way. Okay, almost like a Kimura if I can from here. Okay, so I got a little bit of leverage either way. I can crank it this way or this way. So if I'm in here, okay, I get this position. Oh, I got the first one here. I'm going to crank up. Oh, he slips out of it here. Okay, from here I'm going to grab, and if I can, I'll try to get a little bit of an angle here, and he's going to push up. Okay, I can crank with my arm. I can also watch this with I got leverage here to here. I got a little post here, from here. And this is trapping, of course, because if this comes up, if this drifts up as I try to pop up, I'm going to lose some leverage. So those are a couple things that I've just kind of learned and piddled with that I've adapted from this basic position in wrestling where all we're trying to do is pin somebody here. But very applicable in jiu-jitsu or submission wrestling. It's a very, very powerful position that I encourage people to develop.